Capricorn. Let's begin with something most people won't admit aloud. Sometimes, it's not your decisions that slow your life down. It's someone else's wish. A wish made in silence. A wish made in secret. A wish for your fall. You felt it. You just didn't know what to call it. The sudden weariness. The miscommunications that made no sense. The missed chances that felt unnaturally timed. The unexpected weight you've carried in your chest, like something is watching, waiting. This isn't paranoia. This is energy. And energy never lies. There is, and has been, someone who pretended to support you. They smiled in your face, while wishing you would stumble behind your back. Not because you wronged them, but because your strength reminded them of everything they could never be. They didn't want to end your life. No, that would be too obvious. They wanted something far more sinister. They wanted to see you fall. Quietly. To lose everything, without even knowing who was behind it. And the worst part? For a time, you did. You questioned your purpose. You felt doors close, finances tighten, people withdraw. You asked the universe why your hard work wasn't flowing like it used to. You blamed yourself. But what if I told you, the problem wasn't inside you? It was around you. Lingering. Watching. Feeding. Capricorn, this isn't about fear, it's about truth. A truth your soul has been trying to whisper to you for months. And now, your spiritual guides refuse to stay silent. They are not warning you anymore. They are defending you. Because destiny has seen enough. Enough of the delays. Enough of the sabotage. Enough of you suffering in silence while smiling to survive. From this moment on, the energy shifts. You are no longer under attack. You are under divine protection. And in this video, you're going to find out exactly who wished for your fall, and why destiny is now rising in your name. Part 1. The secret wish against you. Not every threat in life wears a villain's mask. Sometimes, the most dangerous energy you'll ever face smiles. It tells you it's proud of you. It claps for your success. It asks questions not because it cares, but because it's measuring how far ahead you are. Capricorn, I need you to look back. Think about the one who always showed up just a little too curious. The one who wanted to know where you were going, but never celebrated when you got there. The one who clapped the loudest in public, but sent nothing but silence in private. You may not want to admit it, but someone in your life, recently or in the past, secretly wished for your fall. Not a dramatic collapse. No. They're more calculated than that. They wanted your momentum to slow down, your fire to dim, your confidence to dissolve. They wanted the world to stop seeing your light so theirs could shine in comparison. This wish wasn't spoken aloud. It was energetic, intentional, lingering. And Capricorn, because you're so disciplined, so focused, so used to doing it all alone, you didn't even notice what was happening at first. You blamed the fatigue on overworking. You blamed the missed opportunities on bad timing. You blamed the tension in your chest on just needing rest. But deep down, your soul knew. Something was wrong. And here's what they'll never admit. Your presence makes them uncomfortable because you remind them of what they could have been. If only they had your resilience. If only they had your focus. If only they had your heart. You don't complain. You don't chase validation. You simply rise. And to someone insecure, that's terrifying. So instead of working on themselves, they fixated on you. And they began to send out a wish, not with candles or rituals, but with emotion. A dark prayer made of envy. A thought like a dagger. Let Capricorn fall. But here's what they didn't count on. You are not held together by approval. You are not climbing because others clap. You are Saturn's child, built from resistance. And the same energy they sent to destroy you has now activated a higher protection that even they cannot touch. Life lesson. Not everyone who smiles at you is rooting for your success. But you don't need revenge, you need clarity. When energy feels off, believe your body before you believe their words. You owe no one access to your light just because they pretend to understand it. The lesson isn't to fear others, it's to trust yourself more deeply than ever before. Because protection begins with discernment. And your spirit already knows who's not meant to go where you're going next. Part 2. Energetic sabotage in your finances. You've always been a builder, Capricorn. Brick by brick. Plan by plan. While others chase shortcuts, you build legacies. You don't ask for applause. You just keep showing up. Because that's what Saturn taught you, that discipline outlives drama. But something strange happened lately, didn't it? You were still doing the work. Still showing up early. Still putting in the effort. And yet, your money stopped flowing. The projects stalled. The clients disappeared. The opportunities dried up. And it made no sense. You asked yourself the logical questions. Did I make a mistake? Did I miss a sign? Is this just a temporary season? But here's the truth your logical mind couldn't grasp. Someone attached energy to your abundance. Not with spells. Not with rituals. But with focused resentment. Focused doubt. Focused envy. Capricorn, money is not just numbers, it's energy. And when someone envies what you earn, what you own, what you've built, their silent bitterness becomes a frequency that attempts to block yours. You see, the person who wished you'd fall didn't just attack your confidence. They aimed for your flow. They knew how sacred your work is to you. How your career isn't just about status, it's your safety, your structure, your soul in motion. So they targeted what would hurt most. Your momentum. It didn't come all at once. It was subtle. Emails delayed. Support withdrawn. Unexpected expenses that pulled you away from your vision. And behind it all was a hidden energy. An invisible fog wrapped around your productivity. You may have called it burnout. You may have blamed the economy. But underneath it, something was feeding on your shine. What most won't tell you is this. Even non-physical energy can create very physical consequences. The delayed promotions. The client who suddenly ghosted. The deal that almost closed, then mysteriously didn't. These are the fingerprints of energetic sabotage. You didn't deserve it. You didn't invite it. But you did survive it. Because here's what they underestimated again. Your work doesn't come from ego. It comes from mission. You're not chasing success, you're fulfilling purpose. And purpose can never be permanently blocked. It can only be delayed. And now, the delay is over. Because the moment you began to sense something was wrong, the moment you began to reclaim your time, your focus, your spiritual boundaries, you started unplugging their access. And now, the energy they used to drain you is starting to recoil. Your flow is being restored. The blockages are being cleared. And most importantly, your awareness has awakened. You'll never be energetically naive again. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. Not all scarcity comes from poor planning. Sometimes it comes from energetic pollution. You don't have to believe in curses to honor your intuition. If your money feels stuck, your energy is the first thing to check. Clean energy creates clean income. And from this moment forward, every dollar you earn will be protected by your clarity, not corrupted by someone else's envy. Part 3. Hidden interference in your relationships. Capricorn. You may not realize it yet, but your relationships have already been affected by this silent war. Not by loud arguments. Not by dramatic betrayals. But by something far more subtle and far more dangerous. Energetic interference. You've probably had this experience. You're around someone who once felt safe, steady, familiar. Then suddenly, their energy shifts. They become distant or critical. Their presence begins to drain you rather than ground you. And you're left wondering, what changed? You replay conversations. You search for what you did wrong. You blame yourself for the disconnection. But Capricorn, listen carefully. Sometimes, the shift in someone else's heart has nothing to do with your actions, and everything to do with what they absorbed from someone else's envy. Envy is infectious. It spreads through suggestion, subtle tone, and silent influence. All it takes is one seed of doubt planted in someone's mind about you, and slowly, that relationship begins to deteriorate. She thinks she's better than us now. He's too focused on money to care about real connection. They're not as loyal as you think. It never comes to you directly. It shows up in the way people stop inviting you, the way they downplay your success, the way they pull back just when you need them most. These are not accidents. These are the results of energetic triangulation. Someone, maybe even multiple people, couldn't reach your level, so they decided to attack your foundation. And Capricorn, for you, your relationships are sacred. You don't let people in easily. So when someone poisons a connection you've built, it cuts deep. You see, this isn't just jealousy. It's strategy. They knew they couldn't stop your work ethic. They couldn't block your vision. But they could try to make you feel alone in your journey. They could whisper just enough darkness into your support system to make you second guess who truly had your back. And maybe, for a moment, they succeeded. Maybe you isolated. Maybe you stopped sharing. Maybe you even began to believe you're better off alone. And while Capricorn does carry the strength to walk alone, that doesn't mean you should have to. This attack on your relationships wasn't just personal. It was spiritual. Because Capricorn love is rare. And when you give it, it changes lives. But here's what they didn't expect. You're not just wise, you're observant. You feel the cold in a room long before words confirm it. And now, you're seeing clearly. You know who's real. You know who listened to the whispers. And most importantly, you know who no longer belongs in your energetic field. The fog is lifting. The manipulations are unraveling. And one by one, false connections are falling away, making room for the true ones to emerge. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. Don't apologize for noticing the shift in someone's energy. Loyalty isn't just about presence, it's about protection. If someone lets others poison their view of you, they were never standing beside you. Your peace is sacred. Your circle is earned. And it's better to walk alone in truth than be surrounded by energy that quietly betrays you. Part 4. Capricorn's silent collapse. Capricorn. No one noticed when it started. Because you didn't scream. You didn't break down. You didn't make a scene. You simply endured. That's how your collapse began. Not in a moment of chaos, but in 1,000 quiet, invisible moments you carried alone. You felt the weight shift, but you kept going. You felt the energy change, but you stayed loyal. You felt your body tightening, your sleep breaking, your focus slipping. But you kept showing up. Every single day. Because to you, falling apart was never an option. You were raised, spiritually or literally, to survive. To hold everything together, even when nothing felt steady. But let's be honest now. Even the strongest structure can begin to crack under invisible weight. And Capricorn, you've carried more than your share. You carried your goals. Your family. Your responsibilities. Other people's mistakes. Other people's moods. And most dangerously, other people's projections. The truth is, your silence wasn't peace. It was protection. You stayed quiet because you didn't have the luxury to fall apart. Because if you let yourself feel everything, you might not be able to get up again. And so, your collapse didn't look like collapse. It looked like pushing through fatigue. It looked like staying polite when you were in pain. It looked like overworking just to feel safe. It looked like saying, "I'm fine," when your soul was screaming for rest. And that, Capricorn, is what made you so vulnerable to the energy they sent. Because you were already carrying so much. That even a small curse, a tiny bit of envy, a whisper of sabotage, had somewhere to land. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. And for all your armor, all your strength, your soul still needs space to breathe. You've been running uphill with a backpack full of burdens that don't even belong to you. And the worst part, no one saw the slope getting steeper, because you hid it so well. But here's the shift. You're no longer hiding. Not from others. And not from yourself. This collapse, if we can even call it that, was never the end. It was your body, your spirit, your intuition finally saying, "I can't carry this alone anymore." And from that admission comes healing. Because Capricorn doesn't stay down. You restructure. You recalibrate. You rebuild. Only this time, you're not building on top of old wounds. You're building with full awareness of your worth, with energetic boundaries, with soul-led discernment, and with no more space for people who benefit from your silence. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. Strength isn't about how much you can carry, it's about knowing when to put something down. Your silence was noble, but now your clarity must speak. You are not here to be everyone's foundation. You are here to build your own world, one that doesn't cost you your health, your peace, or your joy. Part 5. The moment the energy shifted. Capricorn. There was a moment. A quiet, almost imperceptible shift. No thunder. No lightning. No dramatic awakening. Just a subtle pause. A silence that felt different than the one before. It happened the day you stopped pushing. The day you finally said, "I don't know what this is, but something is off." That single moment of awareness. That was when the energy began to shift. Because energy responds to recognition. And the second you recognized that something unseen was interfering, the universe began realigning the forces around you. What had once been hidden began to surface. People you once trusted started revealing their true colors without even realizing it. Patterns you couldn't explain suddenly made perfect sense. Opportunities that ghosted you, they began circling back, or being replaced by better ones. It was subtle, at first. You felt lighter, but couldn't explain why. You started sleeping better, not because life got easier, but because your spirit stopped leaking energy. That's when your spiritual team stepped in. You see, your ancestors, your guides, they had been waiting for your inner shift. They didn't intervene because they were silent. They waited because you hadn't been ready to release what was draining you. But once you said, "No more," even if only in your heart, everything changed. That person who once had power over your emotions, suddenly, they no longer stirred your spirit. The work that used to feel like walking through fog, you began to move through it with clarity again. Your focus returned. Your boundaries tightened. And most importantly, your intuition got louder. Because the moment you stopped doubting your gut, the universe stopped holding back its protection. This is what people don't understand about Capricorn. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to fight fire with fire. You just need to remember who you are. And the mountain moves. That was the shift. The moment your inner compass overpowered their outer influence. And make no mistake, they felt it. The energy vampires. The manipulators. They felt you pull your light back. They felt your shield go up. And suddenly, what used to work on you, no longer had access. Because now, you're awake. And once a Capricorn awakens, they don't go back to sleep. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. The most powerful shift in your life won't come from outside approval. It will come from the moment you stop betraying your inner knowing. Energy doesn't lie, and neither does your gut. When you honor what you feel, the universe rushes to defend it. You don't have to fight every battle. You just have to stop participating in your own draining. That's when protection begins. Part 6. The return of karma begins. Capricorn. You didn't chase revenge. You didn't expose anyone. You didn't fight dirty. You just kept walking. And that, more than anything, is why karma has now begun to turn. Because the universe doesn't reward loud retaliation. It responds to energetic balance. And your silence, your restraint, was never weakness. It was alignment. You see, karma doesn't always strike like lightning. It creeps in slowly, silently. The same way the betrayal came. The person who wished for your fall, they've already started to feel the shift. Their confidence is crumbling. Their relationships are strained. Their finances, once steady, have started to slip. And they don't understand why. Because they never saw the moment they crossed a line. They thought their envy was harmless. That wishing for your downfall was just a passing emotion. Something the universe wouldn't notice. But the universe notices everything. Especially when someone targets a soul like yours. One that has worked, not from entitlement, but from discipline. Not from manipulation, but from purpose. Capricorn, what's happening now is not punishment. It's return. The energy that was sent out is finding its way home. The whispers that tried to damage your name are now echoing back into their own lives. The blocks they hoped you'd trip over are appearing in their own paths, not because you asked for it, not because you wanted them to suffer, but because this is what happens when divine order reclaims the balance. You were never meant to carry the weight of someone else's bitterness. And now, the scales are correcting themselves, not with rage, but with precision. Capricorn, you don't need to watch their karma unfold. That's not your role. Your job is to stay in your lane, clear, focused, grounded. Let the universe handle the rest, because it already is. And in the background of your rising peace, their inner world is becoming the chaos they once wished for you. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. Karma isn't always loud, it's just. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. When your hands stay clean, your blessings stay intact. The universe doesn't forget where energy was sent. What's yours will rise, and what's not will return to sender. Let divine law do what ego never could, restore balance. Part 7. How they still secretly watch you. Capricorn. Even now, after the energy has shifted, after karma has returned to its rightful place, there are still eyes on you. Not eyes of admiration, not eyes of support, but eyes that are fixated, obsessed, quietly watching you rise. You may feel it. That lingering presence. That subtle discomfort when your name is spoken in a room you're not in. That strange awareness that someone is still energetically tethered to you, even though the connection should have ended long ago. This is not your imagination. This is what happens when a soul refuses to release their attachment to your light. They tried to bring you down. They tried to slow your momentum. They failed. But instead of moving on, they watch. They stalk your energy. They compare their journey to yours. They whisper to others, hoping someone will echo their resentment back to them. They want validation for the pain they tried and failed to cause you. Why? Because your rise reminds them of their fall. Your peace reminds them of their chaos. Your continued progress forces them to confront a truth they cannot accept. That you were never the problem. They were. And so they cling to the story they told themselves, to the bitterness they refused to heal, to the illusion that somehow, someway, they might still be able to interfere in your path. Capricorn, let this be clear. You owe them nothing. Not an explanation. Not a reaction. Not your attention. Because even if their eyes are still on you, your eyes are on the future. And that's what terrifies them most. They can't stop watching, because they can't understand how you're still rising. After everything they did, after all the energy they poured into trying to derail you. But you know why? Because your path was never built on their approval. It was built on resilience. It was carved from stone. And stone doesn't bend for those who can't climb. Let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them wonder how the mountain keeps rising. You have nothing to prove. Your existence is already the answer. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. Obsession is not admiration. Some people fixate on what they can't destroy not because they care, but because they failed. You are not responsible for how others carry their unhealed envy. The most powerful move you can make is no longer being available for their access. Let your elevation speak louder than their lingering presence. Part 8. The future traps and disguised returns. Capricorn. Not every enemy stays gone. Some return. But when they do, they rarely come back looking like the person who once hurt you. They come dressed in softness, in regret, in sudden compliments and unexpected kindness. And at first, it may seem like growth, healing, closure. But not every return is divine. Some are disguised traps. Because here's the truth. When the people who once tried to break you realize they couldn't, they often try to re-enter what they couldn't destroy from the outside. Not to uplift you, but to study you, to gather intel, to find a new way in. They might offer help. They might say things like, "I've changed. I miss our connection." I've been thinking about you a lot lately, but you'll feel it. Something won't sit right. Their words won't match their energy. Their timing will feel off. Their smiles will seem a little too calculated. And Capricorn, your gift is discernment. You don't need to confront them. You don't need to call it out. You just need to trust the tension in your chest. Because that is your warning. When someone tries to return during your season of success, you must ask yourself, where were they when you were in survival? Why do they want access now when your light is shining? This is the moment your boundaries become sacred. You're not who you were. You no longer need to give them a chance out of politeness. You no longer owe people the benefit of the doubt when your spirit already feels the answer. And be careful. These traps won't always look like toxic people. They may come as opportunities too. Sudden offers. Quick fixes. Shortcuts that promise ease but cost your energy. If it feels too fast, too forced, too convenient, it probably is. Because your path is one of structure. And anything that tries to skip the process isn't for you. Capricorn, this is the season where your no will protect your legacy more than your yes ever could. Let them wonder. Let them say you changed. Let them call you guarded. Because they don't know what it took to rebuild what they tried to break. And they will not be granted access to the version of you they didn't help build. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. Not every return is redemption. Some people come back, not because they love you, but because they've lost control over you. You don't need to test their intentions when your body already feels the truth. Respect the quiet warning. Honor the discomfort. And never open the door just because someone knocks with a smile. Part 9, Your Sacred Shield, Capricorn's True Power. Capricorn, you've heard the word strong all your life, but few truly understand what that means, especially when it's spoken about you, because your strength isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't demand to be seen. Your strength is structured. It's patient. It's layered like ancient stone, forged from pressure, time, and purpose. And now, that strength has become your shield. You see, while others build confidence on applause, you built yours in solitude. While they looked outward for validation, you learned how to source power from within. That's what makes you unshakable. Because when the chaos came, you didn't collapse. You reorganized. When the betrayal hit, you didn't lash out. You recalibrated. When people walked away, you stayed committed to the mission. And every time they thought they'd cracked your foundation, you quietly reinforced it layer by layer with even more resolve. Capricorn, this is your sacred shield. It's not made of ego. It's not made of revenge. It's made of clarity, of knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you'll never compromise again. This is the power that no one can imitate. Because it doesn't come from performance. It comes from alignment. You are the mountain. You don't chase. You don't crumble. You rise, and everything around you either aligns with that, or falls away. And that's what's happening now. Your shield isn't just protecting you. It's purifying your path. It's redirecting anything that doesn't belong. It's calling in only what honors your discipline, your growth, your integrity. From now on, you'll notice. The conversations are deeper. The connections are purer. The energy around you has changed. Because you have changed. You're no longer trying to be understood. You're simply embodying truth. And when truth walks into a room, it doesn't explain itself. It simply shifts everything. That's what you've become. Not just someone who endures storms, but someone who commands stillness by presence alone. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. Real power doesn't seek attention, it establishes order. Your discipline is your defense. Your boundaries are your blessing. And your ability to walk away, without burning bridges or losing peace, is your greatest flex. You don't need to protect your light with noise. Just stop letting chaos sit at your table. Part 10. The divine alignment that sets you free. Capricorn. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when you realize you were never being punished. You were being positioned. Everything that didn't work, everyone who left, Every detour, delay, and betrayal. It wasn't failure. It was divine alignment. The universe wasn't blocking your path. It was clearing it. Removing the ones who couldn't handle your rise. Dismantling what was never rooted in truth. Shielding you from energies that would have collapsed your legacy before it even began. And now, you're here. Not at the end, but at the beginning of the chapter you were always meant to live. The chapter where your clarity becomes currency. Where your focus becomes flow. Where your pain no longer controls your decisions because it has become your wisdom. Capricorn, the reason it was so hard was because you weren't building for now. You were building for forever. And forever takes time. That's why your path was slower than others. Why your success wasn't handed to you. Why you had to fight for peace in silence. Because what you carry is rare. Your soul carries architect energy. You don't just survive the storm. You sketch blueprints in the middle of it. And now, the storm is passing. The pieces are falling into place. The people meant for you are arriving. The resources are aligning. The timing is finally matching the vision. This is not luck. This is the result of every moment you didn't give up. Every boundary you kept. Every tear you cried and kept private. Every time you chose growth over comfort. Now, you're no longer in resistance. You're in resonance. Aligned with your truth. Aligned with your power. Aligned with the future that was waiting for you to become ready enough to hold it. You are no longer the version of yourself who tolerated too much just to feel safe. You are no longer building with people who can't meet you in depth or discipline. You are no longer surviving. You are rising. Clean. Focused. Unapologetically aligned. And nothing sent to destroy you can reach you now. Life lesson, Capricorn truth. You were never off track, you were being trained. Delays were protection. Endings were beginnings. And silence was sacred preparation. The universe didn't forget you, it was preparing everyone else to catch up to your frequency. Now that you're aligned, your freedom can't be taken, only expanded. Conclusion, release, reclaim, rebuild. Capricorn, you've heard the whispers. You've felt the weight. You've carried the betrayal in silence, worn strength like armor, and kept moving forward even when your soul was breaking underneath it all. But now, it ends. Not with revenge, not with rage, but with something far more powerful. Release. Release the people who watched you drown and called it character building. Release the ones who smiled in your face while quietly hoping for your fall. Release the stories that told you you had to carry everything to be worthy. Release the version of you that believed suffering was a requirement for success. Because you don't need to bleed for your blessings. You don't need to prove yourself to the people who already decided not to understand you. You were never meant to stay small just to make others comfortable. You were meant to build something that lasts even if it meant walking alone for a season. So now, reclaim. Reclaim your voice. Reclaim your energy. Reclaim the hours, the dreams, the clarity, the vision, the version of yourself you tucked away to survive. And then, rebuild. Not as a reaction, but as a declaration. That your light is no longer available for low frequencies. That your path will not be compromised by the ones who couldn't handle your discipline. That your legacy will not be polluted by those who never earned access to your soul. You are free now. Not because they apologized. Not because they understood. But because you decided to stop holding what was never yours. Capricorn. Your peace is non-negotiable. Your future is unfolding. And destiny is no longer testing you. It's defending you. So walk forward. Eyes open. Back straight. Heart grounded. You don't owe the past another ounce of your power. You are not just surviving this chapter. You're rewriting the story. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, I want you to comment below. I release the past and step fully into my power. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to this channel, Zodiac Secrets Revealed, because your Capricorn journey is only just beginning. There is more to uncover, more to become, and the universe is only just getting started with you. We'll meet again exactly when you're ready for the next level. Until then, Honor your light. Protect your power. And remember, what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased, it's already making its way home.